Are you looking to submerge yourself into a game where you are not controlling a character, but you are the character yourself? If the answer is yes, I got you covered. I've comprised the top 10 first-person shooter games to play on your Steam Deck in 2025. Let's check it out. So let's start out with Doom Eternal. Doom Eternal, this is a first-person shooter game where you play as the Doom Slayer in a futuristic world overrun by demons. What I love about this game is that you get to brutally engage in chaotic fights, as well as you use that to acquire health, ammo, and armor. It is a game in which it is really important in this gameplay aspect, as well as what I love about Doom is that you get to use different types of guns. You can use the ballista, you can use the heavy cannon, to just name a few, as well as there's also these melee weapons like the Doom Blade, the Crucible, all these different cool weapons that you get to use to your own advantage. So yeah, if you really love these type of first-person shooters where there is a beautiful world where you get to fight those different hordes of enemies and where you gotta be on your toes at every moment, and there are always enemies where it is just so chaotic and whatnot, definitely check out Doom Eternal on the Steam Deck. Now up next is Superhot. Superhot is an interesting first-person shooter game where time is actually correlated to your movements. When you move, time goes faster, and when you stand still, time just goes in slow-mo, and where the enemies come at you in slow-mo fashion. And in this game, you get to loot various weapons from fallen enemies, in which you get to shoot, you get to dodge, and do all it takes to survive. But also keep in mind that since time is correlated to your movement, it gives you extra time if you stand still to strategize and plan what is the appropriate way to overcome certain challenges. What I really love about Superhot as well is the current aesthetics of it. I love how there is the black, white, and red contrast in which the surroundings are white, the gun you obtain are black, and the enemies are red. It just brings about this simplistic yet fascinating style, in my opinion. But yeah, if all that sounds interesting to you and you love a first-person shooter game with unique gameplay elements to it, definitely check out Superhot on the Steam Deck. Now up next is Turbo Overkill. Turbo Overkill is a very chaotic first-person shooter game where you get to play as Johnny Turbo, who is half human as well as half metal. How cool is that? And where you get to brutally slice those different enemies with no mercy in public whatsoever. What I really love about Turbo Overkill is that it is a very unique boomer shooter where you get to just do all it takes to literally show everybody who's the boss as you just mercilessly demolish those different enemies, whether it is shooting them, whether it is slicing them, doing all those different fast-paced action. It's just something that is just really cool and really fun, and where the chaoticness is just so freaking priceless. So yeah, if you really love these type of fast-paced first-person shooter games where there's a very interesting type of gameplay style, definitely check out Turbo Overkill on the Steam Deck. Now up next is Void Bastards. Void Bastards is a really fun first-person shooter game where you get to enter various spaceships, fight various enemies while surviving, and salvage parts to repair the ships. If you love these type of first-person shooter games where you get to explore space, ships, as well as fight various enemies, definitely check it out on the Steam Deck. Now up next is Crysis Remastered. Crysis Remastered is a nice classical first-person shooter game where you get to engage in epic battles in which you get to fend an island off from invaders. On top of the shooting, you also get to drive various vehicles in which there are a variety of different ones that are really cool as well, and where you also will be able to clear various obstacles as well as even have the ability to become invisible, in which you can stalk patrols. It is a really engaging and really fun, chaotic first-person shooter game. And just as a side note, Crysis is developed by the same developers who made Rise Son of Rome, and it totally makes sense because as I play Crysis Remastered, it really feels as if I'm playing Rise Son of Rome, obviously aside from the characters and the way that it is in first-person shooter fashion as opposed to hack and slash fashion in Rise Son of Rome. But yeah, if all that sounds interesting to you, definitely check out Crysis Remastered on the Steam Deck. Now up next is Neon White. Neon White is a speedrun platformer first-person shooter game where you get to enter various levels in which you get to shoot at various enemies in fast-paced style. And what's really cool about Neon White is that your abilities and weapons are based on the cards that you acquire throughout each level and use to your advantage, in which a lot of them grant really cool parkour moves in which I find really engaging as well. As far as Neon White goes, there are 97 levels in total across 12 different missions, so it is definitely a game in which you can easily pick up and drop whenever, but also at the same time, it is something that will keep you busy for quite some time. But anyways, in this game, you get to play as, you know it, Neon White, in which you are an assassin from hell, and you must compete against other demon slayers in hopes for redemption. So yeah, this game is just really cool, really fun. It bridges the gap between, in my opinion, a lighthearted game as well as an intense game. It is just right in between. But yeah, if all that sounds interesting to you, definitely check out Neon White on the Steam Deck. Now up next is Halo Masterchief Collection. Halo Masterchief Collection is 6 for the price of 1, baby, where it includes 6 classic Halo games: Halo Combat Evolved Anniversary, Halo Reach, Halo 2 Anniversary, Halo 3, Halo 3 ODST, as well as Halo 4. What I really love about Halo Masterchief Collection is that it is just really iconic. It just brings back the vibes of the classic games that I enjoy back in the day. Those really fun first-person shooter games that just brings about all these different types of memories. Halo Masterchief Collection, in my opinion, they are also the best games in the Halo franchise. They just basically identify what the Halo games ought to be. So the major thing is that if you are somebody who's a long-time Halo fan, you must check out Halo Masterchief Collection. If you are somebody who just wants to kind of hop into the Halo franchise, you must check out the Halo Masterchief Collection. It is just something in which it is just so mind-blowing, so amazing, and where it's really great to be able to play on the Steam Deck and play on the go whenever possible. Now, up next is Battlefront. In this Star Wars first-person shooter game, you get to engage in memorable, chaotic battles, as well as iconic classic planets in the Star Wars trilogy. As far as Battlefront goes, you also get to play as iconic characters like Darth Vader, as well as Boba Fett. It really is a fun first-person shooter game that I highly recommend any Star Wars fans to definitely check out. As far as me goes with Star Wars Battlefront, I love cooperatively tackling those different missions as well as fighting those different waves of enemies. It's just a really fun Star Wars game that is just heavily addicting, as well as it brings about a lot of joy and a lot of laughs. So yeah, if all that sounds interesting to you and you are a fan of Star Wars, definitely check out Battlefront on the Steam Deck. Now up next is Bioshock Remastered. Bioshock Remastered is a really fun first-person shooter game where you get to use various weapons as well as plasmids, in which the plasmids can be used to entice enemies to their traps as well as turn enemies against each other. On top of the plasmids as well as the really cool firearms that you get to use in Bioshock Remastered, you also get to engage in hacking minigames in which you get to connect pipes within a time limit, and where if you manage to connect the pipes properly within a time limit, you can access locked areas, open chests, just as a few things that involves hacking minigames. So yeah, if all that sounds interesting to you, definitely check out Bioshock Remastered on the Steam Deck. Alright friends, my favorite first-person shooter game, and that is none other than Deep Rock Galactic. Deep Rock Galactic is a game in which you and up to 3 other friends get to play in first-person shooter fashion as dwarves living on this procedurally generated cave. What I really love about Deep Rock Galactic is that you get to work together as you go about, whether it is digging, whether it is exploring, whether it is fighting merciless hordes of enemies, as well as whether it is gathering resources. It is just a really fun co-op experience where you get to just embark on this adventure while exploring those different areas that just feels like space, some place where you normally will not be able to explore in real life. It's just really fun, really chaotic, as well as it just brings about teamwork, brings about the excitement. And what I really love about Deep Rock Galactic as well is that due to its very non-linear gameplay is that you can easily pick up and drop whenever. So that is also something that's really cool for people like me who from time to time enjoy co-op games but primarily love to play single-player games. Deep Rock Galactic Survivor is just a perfect game to play. So yeah, if all this sounds really interesting to you, definitely check out Deep Rock Galactic on the Steam Deck. Alright friends, these are 10 great first-person shooter games in which I'll recommend any Steam Deck owner to check out. Let me know in the comment section below, are there any first-person shooter games in which you will recommend me to check out, in which I did not mention on this list? And if you like list videos like this one, please feel free to check out my other list videos, from must-play games that are general list to some of them that are more curated. But I have a whole playlist on that, feel free to check that out. And as always, if you love gaming lists, gaming discussions, gaming reviews, and everything related to Steam Deck, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe so you not miss another video. I try to post Mondays at 6 p.m. Pacific time and occasionally Fridays, so stay tuned. Once again, my name is Joey from the Nomadic Gaming Guild, and game on!